Welcome everybody to Ero's F3 Championship, round 13 of 17. We're here to take on the Belgian Grand Prix. My name is Webbo. I'll be your commentator for this upcoming race as ever in Ero. And we're looking forward to seeing how the drivers tackle the classic, incredible circuit of Spa in Belgium. As I mentioned, we have this race plus 4 to go, which means that our championship leader, Konis, with 7 wins so far, has a 107-point gap to Pangrio, who takes second place from Edzak, Maciek, Banks, and Pachuca. But crucially, the target for Konis is to outscore Pangrio by a single point today, based on our point system here at Ero. So his target, 1 point difference between himself and Pangrio to take the championship from the drivers. It's going to take a little while before the constructors is sorted out. Mclaren lead with 324 points. On 210 is the Ferrari pairing, and then the AlphaTauri group are on 176. So it's going to be a little bit of a way off yet before we settle our Constructors' Championship, but there's a strong chance that we see our Drivers' Championship settled today. Lots to play for. Further down the order, though, there's a very close situation between P7 and P3. P7 is currently Pachuca. Above him, Banks and Maciek, and then Edzak, as I mentioned before. So very intriguing. We've got 13 cars to take the start of qualifying today. I'm hoping we might see some more cars arrive, but if not, then if not. Jesper has let me know that there's rain at the end of the race, so that one's going to be interesting. Always tasty, a little bit of rain at the end of a Belgian Grand Prix. But if you're watching along, do let us know who you're here supporting, who you'd like to see. If you see something that my single pair of eyes have not spotted yet, do let me know. Yeah, we've got some tips coming in as well, slightly sarcastic, I believe. But Casper is out there first of all. I know Casper's fans usually drop by to cheer him on. So, championship leader and second place driver. We thought we might end up without our second place driver, who has not been feeling 100% today. But thankfully he is going to join us and tackle this challenge of beating Konis and pushing our championship decision on for another race. So 1 point, as I mentioned before, 1 point needed for Konis, better than Pangrio to settle the championship this week. Very long track here at Spa, and that obviously means that it's crucial that you get one of your 3 hot lap opportunities safely home. The first target, of course, for our drivers is to make sure that they get themselves a safe banker lap and don't crash. So we've got a couple of drivers who've come out on medium tyres for their first run. A few drivers still in the pits: Kaizachi, Konis and Ivan Belov. But Casper just finishing up the lap now. Watch him take a wide entry to the final left-hander. And on we go then to tackle this famous circuit on a run down towards La Source. It's a short, straight, late braking opportunity down into the dip. Use the gully at the bottom of the corner there at the apex and slingshot your way up towards, of course, the famous Eau Rouge Raidillon complex here. This may be the last game where we have this particular layout of Eau Rouge. It may be changing next year if viral pictures are to be believed. And we head down the Kemmel Straight then, looking for the braking point way after the 50-meter board into Les Camps and now Malmedy. We go down the hill. Fairly early braking here for Rivage, but you can carry speed in and allow the engine to settle the car down. This is the no-name left-hander, and we go towards Pouhon now. avoiding that inside curb with the left front. He almost touched it. In fact, I think he might have just got a little bit too much. Now we're into Lefania chicane, and heading down to the double right-hander of Stavolo. Looking pretty safe at the moment. Well within the margins, not pushing the car too hard, which is what we want on this first lap. And now we go through the Blanchimont. Well, we're approaching Blanchimont. Here it is now. And again, just waiting for your braking point to arrive into the bus stop. Of course, that's treacherous in the rain. Casper just threading the needle, doing what's required, and we'll head to the line on a 43.428, our first time. Quickly beaten by Edzak, however. We've got other cars finishing their outlaps currently. I think Jesper Fay is perhaps one of the later ones, so we'll go to Sikkelhelm. I'll say Sikkel. Oh dear, that's a new name on me, so apologies, Sikkel, if I pronounce your name wrongly. You can let me know. We've got Sousa in P3. Kaizachi is currently trying to hang on to the car through Stavolo, through Rivage there, but we've got other cars finishing up their laps. I think, is that Gonga? No, it's not Gonga about to finish a lap. Supermug goes P3. Nice time from Supermug, 43.6, and promptly retires, I'm assuming, in the pit lane entry. Let's see, is he sitting there? The pit lane entry is perhaps one of the most dangerous in the whole of the game. Very difficult to keep the car, as we saw the car we were previously riding with there, managing to rub the wall on the way in as well. Konis then to finish off this first banker lap on medium tyres, feeling confident, ready to attack towards the end of the straight up to P2. It's a 43.418, only beaten by Edzak. And I wonder, it looks like Pangrio has bailed on his first lap, won't be going again. We've got some other cars finishing up. I don't think anybody else is actually on a hot lap right now. So Konis, P2, good place to put a banker lap in, especially on medium tyres. Now, is he brave enough to stay on those medium tyres for the rest of the session, or will he light the touch paper and go for it later on? Is Jesper Fay coming up to finish his lap? I don't think so, unless he's going around to do a second lap on softs, which is far from ideal. Must have invalidated pretty early on in his hot lap, and on his way in. Of course, the length of the lap significantly discourages drivers from trying to go for another lap. Looks like Kaizachi is on a lap here, and he has invalidated. So we'll go back down to Ivan Belov while the leaders are in the pits or on an outlap. Ivan Belov, purple sector 2, purple sector 1, into Rivage. Not using the apex very much. Looks like our Supermug may not take the race start, unfortunately. Something's come up, I believe. So sad to see him out altogether. Ivan Belov just hanging on to the car right on the edge of the exit of Lefania. Good middle sector, of course, for him. The only middle sector he's registered so far. Banks starts a lap and will join him and Pangrio shortly. Let's see what Ivan Belov can do though as he approaches the bus stop chicane. It's an awful place to find your braking zone for it on the first few wet laps. The bus stop, zero grip down there, but it's a 143.199. Nice early lap from Ivan Belov, and beats his teammate and locks out the front row currently. So Banks and Magic on laps at the moment. Banks has registered his first sector time. Pangrio just starting. So let's see what Pangrio has got in the car. He's got through La Source. This is the old start-finish straight and pit area, often used for support races. Car getting a little bit loose as he's turning right up Eau Rouge, but hangs on. Pangrio then down towards the first sector. It's the 30.263. I think that's pretty handy. I think possibly Konis is circulating at the moment. He's kept those mediums on, the same set of mediums that he set his first lap on. Very interesting tactic here. Maybe just going for one big push at the end on softs. But if he's strong enough on the mediums, he may not bother. Pangrio then, second in our championship. Really needs to score big today to hang on to the opportunity. New pole from Bankst, 43.004. Very nice time from Bankst. I think the track is improving. Good time to be on the circuit pushing. So just Blanchimont to go. Again, the car looking a little bit lively through Blanchimont. Not the ideal line for Pangrio. 2 attempts to turn into the bus stop. Not a clean getaway, but a P4 just pips Konis on the lap there. It looks like Konis has gone into the pits, so I must have been reading that one wrong. Edzak, who was our previous pole sitter in the first runs, is under his time through sector 2. Looking to close out the lap strong then. A little bit of a gap to try and catch Bankst. I don't think he's quite got it in the bank just yet. Away he goes then, just opposes his teammate with a 43.097, and it is super close at the front, less than a tenth separating our top 2. So who else is running right now? Casper on a lap has invalidated, unfortunately. Where's Maciek at the moment? 30.3 in sector 1 for Maciek. No, I can't believe Bankst is still on a lap. He's not. So Maciek looking to get his first time on the board, and can he get up there near to his teammate and have a good strong showing for Ferrari, who badly need it in the championship to tackle Mclaren here. We do have a Mclaren versus Ferrari situation in our Constructors' Championship. Ferrari currently second, but a new pole position, a 003 for Maciek. A 1,000th improvement on his teammate, but yes, Buffet spoils the party immediately, and a great new pole at 42.9. Nobody else in the 42s just yet, but our qualifying session is far from over. Kaizachi is invalidated again, so no improvement likely there. Looks like Gonga's going slowly on his current lap, which is not registered as an outlap. Pangrio could do with Sekel getting in amongst the fight here to defend against Konis. Konis has decided to come out on those soft tyres, so let's watch with our championship leader and see if he can improve on his P7 currently, now that he's put the same set of tyres that everybody else is on. Smoothly through Eau Rouge, and I believe it's raining. I believe we have rain on the track already, so this will be it. This will be the very final opportunity for the drivers to register a time. Slightly sideways, I think possibly the grip's dropping already for Konis as he goes through this sector, so he doesn't get a fastest first sector time. The lap is so long, the conditions will be very different at the end of the lap. It could be that he's left it too late, and perhaps either Jeff wasn't particularly great with his forecast, or Konis not paying a great deal of attention, and you can certainly forgive him for that, to the weather forecast. Oh, getting very sideways, too much curb in the rain. It's very low grip on those white lines. He saved it very early on, but great job from Konis. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be on the front row, but he's a quarter of a second faster than he's been on the medium tyres while it's drizzling in here in Spa. Yellow flag on the track ahead of him. Car just completely off the circuit. It's Magic getting out of the way. Konis then towards the bus stop. What's the grip going to be like? Slight under rotation. Might have had to just lift off the brake slightly. Away we go then to the start finish line, and he's not going to register this one. He's not happy with it. He backed out towards the line there and didn't register that lap. So now it's a long, slow tour all the way back to the pits for Konis, and I do feel like that's the fastest session. The fastest laps have gone out now. Everybody has registered a time. We are only 2.3 seconds our field spread overall, maybe 2.4. Almost 2.4, I should say. And let's see if Kaizachi can lift himself off away from P12. It's low grip on the far eastern side of the track, as seen on Kaizachi's car. Big lift going into Le Fagna. Some retirements coming in sensibly so that we don't waste a lot of time when the times will not improve, unless of course anybody fancies getting a little bit of experience in the wet conditions and managing their setup, see how the car handles on a dry setup with inters on. Might be wise, there might be something to learn, but hopefully our driver's done enough practice to not need to bother. Late braking, someone's wiped out the 50-meter marker board on the way in, and there you see just how difficult that pit entry is. It's so tempting to maximise your pit entry time, but it's pretty treacherous, and you can lose big time if you do that. Gonga is running a lap. Soft tyres. I think it's been raining now for long enough that soft tyres will simply not work around here. Although on a 44.343, maybe he'll be able to rescue something. I think we will see drivers retiring. There goes Konis. So currently it's Jesper from Maciek and Banks, then Edzak and Ivan Beloff, with Pangrio, Konis, Casper and Supermug. Saikel, Souza, Kaizachi and Gonga we ride with. Another native to Empire driver, similar to Konis in the team. If any N2E drivers or fans are here, let us know in the chat. And as qualifying winds down, make sure you've liked the video today, please. Subscribe to Ero's channel for all of our divisional races through the week. And if you like the commentary, you can follow me on Twitter at WeboRed5. You'll be able to see every time I go live. Just tiniest of lifts on the exit of Blanchimont for Gonga. Big lockup, no grip down there into the braking zone. Safely into the pit lane. And down to the pit lane speed limit. So, plenty of rain. Ivan Beloff may have gone out there to do some experience. Right, yeah, he's going to go out, I believe. Is he? No, he's put on the inters, but he's sitting in the pits. So, will the remaining 3 drivers retire, I wonder? And save us a couple of minutes? Or will we watch an empty pit lane? There we go. Okay. So, your fastest time is the Red Bull driver, Jesper Fay, on a 42.970. The only driver to get below the 143s. And then on near enough identical time come our Polish Ferrari drivers, Maciek first with a 003 and Banks with a 004. Edzak and Ivan Beloff are AlphaTauri drivers, are 4th and 5th. Then Pangrio, 2nd in the championship, leads Konis first in the championship, and then Casper, Supermug, Saikel, Souza, Kaizachi, and Gonga. Our grid for you tonight. And I don't think we will actually see Supermug racing, so it could be the other drivers move up the grid. I wonder, though, whether we'll get an AI driver take this one. No, I think we will have 12 racers. So, an appeal to the drivers from me. Please manage to keep plenty of action, and let's keep everybody running in the race as much as possible. 12 starters is it can be a bit difficult if you get your normal rate of DNFs, so I'd appreciate it if drivers just drive with a little bit more margin than normal tonight. And we're heading out to, of course, tackle a dry race, I believe, with a possible wet end to the race, and that can always spice things up, so well worth watching to the very end of our coverage today. Away from the grid for our formation lap leads our pole position driver Jesper Fay. 22 laps we will see of the Spa circuit. He's attacking Eau Rouge quite hard on these soft tyres. And now the weaving down the Kemmel Straight. So Jesper Fay, our only Red Bull, followed by two Ferraris of Magic and Bankst, who may well try and work together at the start. Edzak and Ivan Belov, 4th and 5th. Pangrio, his mission here is to outscore Konis to keep the championship alive, but a really good result would see him give him the best chance possible. Konis' mission, of course, as I mentioned at the start of the grid, start of the build-up, who starts on his medium tyres here, the highest medium runner, mediums only being chosen by himself and Souza. Well, Souza was the only one to have a choice, of course. Konis' mission: score 1 point more than Pangrio today, which he can do with a fastest lap. He can do with a 10th place only if Pangrio finishes outside of that, or simply by finishing ahead of him on track. That will be in the front of Konis' mind. So his mission is simply to watch Pangrio and drive to keep him behind. Casper in P8 in the Aston. Supermug's car will be a bit of a moving roadblock. He's exited from the race, so he will not, of course, be in the seat. We have Saikel, then Souza, whose supporter Alfredo is here to support him. Kaizachi in the lone Haas, and Gonga right at the back in the Williams. Kaizachi and Gonga not able to put in particularly good qualifying laps today, but when you've got a shortened field, it's not quite the end of the world. Welcome if you're just joining us for our race. We'll be underway very shortly here in Spa for the Ero F3 13th race of our season. Got a very long draw distance here to see our start. The start lights begin. It's lights out and go, go, go in Spa. Jesper Fay leading away safely on the inside on the way into last source. The Ferraris next to each other on track. Looks like Pangrio getting the better of one of the AlphaTauris, and already we've got our championship leader challenging but holding on to his 7th place. So Pangrio making up 1 place so far, but the next mission is to navigate the Kemmel Straight, which is very difficult for the leader. You can see the drag happening already. Bankst not able to make a move just yet. Looks like Pangrio is having some connection problems as Ivan Belov slams into the back of the Ferrari, just about managing to have both of them continue. Pangrio going what looks to be quite slowly and cutting to the inside on the way into Rivage. So far so good for our drivers, but it's Sekel with an issue out there in Rivage. Here are our championship contenders as they tackle the Pouin for the first time. Pangrio, no, he's left the session. Hopefully he'll get back in. Hopefully we can get Pangrio back with us, because that's the last thing we want for our championship. Konis getting the job done, getting past him despite the glitching. Looks like some internet connectivity issues potentially for Pangrio. Hopefully he can recover an invite and come back strong. But as things stand, Konis up to P5 from 7th on the grid. Gonga making up places as Pangrio slips down under AI control. But at the front, Jesper Fay leads away. He's got enough of a gap for this lap to defend from Banks, Maciek, Ivan Belov close behind the Ferraris, and then you've got Konis in 5th place, as I've already mentioned. So the cars head down towards the Kemmel Straight, and it's going to be really interesting to see who gets the best run through Eau Rouge. Let's ride on board Ivan Belov. We might get an idea of who's getting close to who. Banks getting close, I can already see. Let's head up here, see who can hang on to the car with reduced downforce on the way through Eau Rouge. Banks closing. Will he have enough delta to launch one? Lap 2 is not necessarily the best time to go for it. Might be lap 3. But Jesper Fay holding on so far with a good move. Kaizachi's in the pit. Sekel has caught back up to the back of, well, the 2 AI drivers, so he's got a little way to go before he catches any humans. And Banks then 2nd place, stuck between our leader and his teammate. Konis on 1 lap old medium tyres in 5th place is in a great position strategically here to clinch the championship tonight. Yeah, Pangrio just confirming he has an issue with his connection, and that's devastating. We really wanted to see a fight, see Konis pushed to the end. We've got a problem for Ivan Belov down there, who has seemingly had an issue. Yeah, Ivan Belov with a little spin, little problem, just trying to get the car back under control. Is there an issue with damage? He's just feeling the car out. I think he's okay. This stage, no visible damage, but we'll check to see if he goes into the pits this time out. Jesper Fay, 2nd fastest lap in as many racing laps. Nothing terrible for Ivan Belov. He's back, and so back is Pangrio, who is now down in 11th place. It tells us he's back in the session, so hopefully able to retake control of his car. We've got DRS enabled as they go through Eau Rouge, the leaders for the 3rd time. This will now hand a significant top speed advantage to Banks, who comes up behind Jesper Fay. Should have a good opportunity. Not quite close enough. Maybe Jesper Fay using some ERS up the hill to get away. Pangrio registering falsely, I believe, at the moment, up into 1st position, having just taken back control of his car. Hopefully that will organise itself out again shortly. Downshift from Banks on the way out of Fania. Now this is Stavlo. Again, a little bit of a gap. I can only see visual gaps at the moment, but a little bit of a gap to Jesper Fay may not be enough once the DRS is enabled down the start-finish straight. A little bit of a way out there. Apologies for the lack of intervals at the moment. Hopefully that will sort out very soon for you. DRS is enabled for the Ferrari of Banks, who has a half a second gap. That will close up. He'll close up under braking. He'll lose out under acceleration, but regain that with slipstream and DRS. I think this one could be the best opportunity so far on lap 4. A little bit more steering lock needed to get through there. safely, and DRS open, goes to the inside, not fought very hard from Jesper Fay. He knows fighting hard will only introduce a second Ferrari into the mix here. Better to allow the car past and fight with one than try and fight with two Ferraris at the same time. Banks then takes the de facto lead. Ignore Pangrillo's position right now. That's not strictly speaking correct. Hopefully that transponder will sort itself out and we'll get it in the proper order of things. Banks takes the lead then on lap 5 of 22. Looking like he's got some good pace underneath the car, maybe just spending a little bit of ERS just to try and put a gap on Jesper Fay, but it'd be very difficult to put an entire second on him, but hopefully enough from Banks' perspective to get away from him. Gap's opening up beyond the top 3 to over a second, so you'll forgive me for focusing on the leaders at this stage. The tyres won't last very long on our soft tyre runners, and Konis will be sitting there on his mediums, just conserving and waiting for these pit stops to take effect, and hoping that we don't get safety cars ruining his excellent strategy he's got on his hands. So we go into Eau Rouge yet again. And now I can't quite make out why the lap counter changed when it did, but Jesper Fay trying to retaliate now. This time it's defended by Banks. Jesper Fay ahead under the braking zones, got the ideal line into the corner and retakes the lead. Nice cooperative, respectful driving going on so far. Let's see if that stays to the end of the race. Remember, we are expecting a shower at the end of this Belgian Grand Prix, where you can almost always expect rain to play a part in the race. The boss reminds us that it's still physically possible for Edzak to win the championship, but he has to outscore Konis by 10, and that doesn't look very likely, both with track position and strategy at this stage. It's quite a mission to outscore Konis by 10 points any point in the championship, but at the moment, on his current run of form with 7 wins out of 13 races, Konis very much in charge of the F3 division. So almost a second pulled out now from Jesper Fay on Banks. Maybe Banks spending a little bit too much out of the tyres. Jesper Fay preserving some, driving to the speed of the car behind. Potentially, we'll see how it works out in terms of tyre deg. We'll see some pit stops soon for you. Here we've got the first penalty that has been applied to Casper, a track extension 3-second penalty. So anyone who had guessed it would be Casper, congratulations. And commiserations to Casper for that. So far though, very good driving from the drivers. We're almost at 1/3 distance as Banks retakes the lead again. Banks into the lead for the second time on lap 7. And again, the drivers playing nicely. Another penalty, this time for Ivan Belov. Your real leader here is the car we ride with, Banks. From Jesper Fay, then Maciek and Konis. Konis on the medium tyres, remember. Edzak, Casper, Gonga, Souza. I'm not quite sure where Pangrillo actually fits in here. I think he's running around through Eau Rouge at the moment, but having rejoined, hopefully the timings will work their way back out again. And he will fit into place at the rear of the field, I believe. I think, does he sit currently between Ivan Belov and Kaisachi? That seems to be the place that his car is touring at the moment. Jesper Fay with a good run out of Blanchimont. It's closed the gap now, half a second. Will we see another exchange of places? No pit stops among the top group so far, but Konis really starting to catch up. There goes Casper, first pitting driver from the soft tyres. Konis now really catching this group. He's now less than a second behind this group of 3. Go up the hill, gap opening up after La Source. A little bit there for Bankst. It might help him resist Jesper Fay, and I believe it does. Konis now with the advantage of DRS to help him stay with the top 3. In fact, I think his tyres are really showing better. He's catching Matrix's car. See our championship leader as he tries to navigate Ferrari. Now remember, Ferrari and McLaren are trying to battle for the Constructors' Championship here as well. Pangrio not helping his chances there with a penalty at this stage, and out again. Has he actually crashed Pangrio? Let's have a look on Kaizachi's car, see if we can see Pangrio. Yeah, it's that treacherous Radion exit we've lost Pangrio, so that will absolutely be very welcome to Konis. A good time for the soft runners to have a pit stop as well. Konis won't like the look of that pit stop, that safety car coming out, and I don't know if he decides to go on the same strategy as the leaders here or double down on his medium running cars. We have a safety car period after a fairly common occurrence of a Radion crash, this time for our number 2 in the championship, Pangrio. Looks like pit stop for Banks, for Jesper Fay, for Maciek of course, but crucially it's Konis who comes in. Konis deciding now is the time to switch on to the same strategy as the other drivers. He has an option, of course, of putting on softs at the end of the race, or running softs at the end, shall we say. Edzak in, everybody in, apart from Casper, who should gain some places, but driving to a delta as he approaches the safety car means that his previous pit stop will not be particularly cheap. So how many places will Casper go? He's currently 9th. How many will he get by in the pits? There's one. There's another. Pit exit time for Casper, and it looks like just 2 places gained from a fortuitous safety car intervention for him. Pangrio tumbling down the order now as the cars get by his. He was registering as almost a lap faster than everybody else at that point. So a yellow flag on lap 8, 1/3 distance. It's Bankst, Jesper Fay, Konis managing to get past one of the Ferraris by, of course, them having to stack in the pits. Looks like Maciek did not manage to create enough of a gap to allow that. I know it's certainly frowned upon, but people get away with it. Maciek then down to 5th now. Edzak in 4th. Konis has switched to soft tyres. Very interesting. Maciek's gone on to hards, so a completely different decision when it comes to that one. Thanks to JJB the second, who says Konis on softs ? Yep, confirmed. They are possibly expecting rain towards the end of the race. Now that could work out beautifully for Konis, who gets a fast sprint on the softs and gets to put on inters at the end. He could benefit from the other drivers and another safety car if we have another exit from the race within that soft run of 5, 6, 7 laps, depending on his deg. Or it could be a bad call. His main choice, of course, was to go for a set of hards to the end or a set of softs to a 2-stop strategy. Could be that everybody has to make another stop, but this could be perfect for the current medium runners, the soft starters. Everybody on fresh mediums or hards, apart from Konis, who's backing himself to get by these 2 drivers and close up on the championship, because he doesn't need to win today. He just needs to score a single point to take the championship from this season 6. Looks like a collision has occurred there between Souza and Ivan Beloff. Let's see if there's any damage on the cars. Doesn't appear to be. Just very difficult for the drivers to navigate, keeping the required short distance to the car in front, the delta for the safety car, and keep their tyres up to temperature. But running directly behind another car is only going to lead you to having an accident. Pangrio apologised, doesn't know what to say. Well, hard lines, Pangrio. You fought a hard fight, but yeah, it hasn't happened for you today. Wasn't your race at all. But there's still 4 races to put in a good performance and show everybody what you're made of. So please come back strong, come back fighting. We highly value drivers' tenacity to keep trying. Everyone wants wins in the season, of course. Don't want to give them all to Konis, do we? Well, the field has closed up on lap 9, so hopefully we'll be going racing again very soon. Current order: Banks, Jesper Fay, Konis, Edzak, Maciek, Kasper, Gonga, Ivan Beloff, Souza, Saikel, Kaizachi, and Supermug, I believe, left inadvertently, unexpectedly, and is ghosted. So no points or anything for that car tonight, because it's just his AI. So I think we'll ride with Konis, who have the most aggressive and best chance at actioning some overtakes here, but it could happen anywhere up and down the grid. But the one thing we're all hoping for is a clean getaway and a race full of racing laps left. We'd really appreciate that from the drivers. We'd rather not have another safety car immediately afterwards. Safety car confirms it will be in this lap. Konis up 4 places, Gonga up 6 from the start. But Gonga possibly capitalising on others' mistakes, whereas Konis driving has tended to be genuine overtakes. But an interesting strategic call. Could work out beautifully. Could make life very difficult for him. I feel, though, he needs to dispatch these next 2 cars and get as big a gap as possible in order to make this soft tyre sprint work out for him if the rain doesn't come early enough. Here we go then. Banks away on the way out of the bus stop, leaving no option for Jesper to respond. Jesper now mirrors full of orange McLaren, and the difference in braking performance and mid-corner performance such that Konis able to actually rub the tyres with his front wing. Needs to avoid doing that. Through Eau Rouge, he's going to have to lift, otherwise he'll be straight in the back of the Red Bull. Needs to time this one perfectly. I think the momentum has gone out of the car, but his braking will be much better on Jesper Fay. Jesper Fay does not move. Konis can't launch one, but we have got Ferrari and Aston Martin fighting into Les Comps. So Kasper up a place into Les Comps, and of course the typical situation for Maciek, hard tyres, very much slower than everybody else on a restart. So the Aston Martin going backwards. Banks, as he tries to sprint away from the group here, has caught a penalty, which is not going to help his race at all. Konis, quarter of a second back from Jesper Fay. Only a matter of time, you feel. Needs a good, strong exit from Stavlo to get Jesper Fay into the bus stop and be on the hunt for the lead. No DRS down this section. It's all about slipstream. Through Blanchimont they go. Better grip for the McLaren. He gets the inside line. Should be easily done on the brakes. It is. Has he outbroke himself? No. Just about holds on. Good track positioning. Good fight. And Konis up to P2. I'm sure he'd love to take this championship with a win tonight. Where's Edzak at the moment, who needs to outscore him by 10? Edzak down in 4th, with Kasper fairly close behind, but it's Konis on the attack, heading up Eau Rouge yet again. half distance pass now. Konis up 5 positions from his starting grid. Wants one more to make it a nice even 6. And hunting for DRS. He's currently underneath that margin. We haven't had DRS enabled just yet after the restart. Konis just going a little wide through Rivage. Taking the esports racing line in the stretch between No Name and Pouon. Catching. Edzak though, likewise, now closing on the back of Jesper Fay, who's not enjoying these mediums. I'm wondering if his warm-up routine was not quite up to scratch. Konis fancies a run down to the bus stop again without the benefit of DRS. Once again, getting great grip versus the medium runner, using the slipstream, but Banks just positioning the car, gradually discouraging a move from Konis. You fancy though, Konis will have the best opportunity of all now that DRS is enabled, once they've navigated Eau Rouge safely. Looks like we may have on our hands another battle for the lead right now. Here comes Konis. A little bit further back, so can afford to plant the right foot as he goes through Eau Rouge. DRS open, Banks moves to the middle. That gives the ideal racing line to Konis, who smoothly, late on the brakes and through to first position, takes the lead on lap 12. Now mission is to make this strategy work, either by extending the softs as long as possible or by sprinting away and gapping the field. So a bid for fastest lap potentially as well coming from Konis, using that long DRS jump. He's already put a second and a half on Konis after sector 2. That's incredible driving from Konis. The pace he's able to unlock from the car. Purple middle sector is this one going to make it a fastest lap. Jesper Fay now half a second back from Banks. Edzak dropping to about 3/4 of a second behind. Sakel gets a 3-second penalty in P9 at the moment. Let's see, will Konis navigate the bus stop on relatively fresh softs before they wear? Will this be a new fastest lap that's impossible to beat? It's a 44.689. That is, yes, over a second faster than anybody's been before, including Banks. So very interesting. Let's just keep an eye on that gap, but we really want to watch overtaking, so we'll see Jesper Fay now, who's the first one with the DRS. Car bottoming out and sparking through Eau Rouge. DRS open, not as wide as we've seen at other points in the Grand Prix coverage this year. Jesper Fay takes the second place, gets another overtake on Banks, and up there to try and keep Konis' gap small as possible. That's now 2.8 seconds. So it's a three-way battle for second place with Banks with his penalty. Kasper up to 5th, 2.3 seconds behind this group. Maciek is currently 0.2 seconds behind Gonga. Now that the hard tyres have come back to him, he'll be able to start battling and have strong tyre life to the end of the race. Looks like we had an issue there for Jesper Fay, who turns around, struggles on the way through Pouon and Leifania. This is now Leifania, so it must have been Pouon that was the undoing of Jesper Fay. Down to 10th, and our three-way battle for second place becomes a two-way battle. Jesper Fay down now to 10th place, and tragedy for his race. Konis nearly 4 seconds away at the front. Edzak, DRS down the short start-finish straight. We'll probably see another challenge on Bankst. Way through Eau Rouge we go again. Sparks flying off the back of the Ferrari might cause a little bit of compromised vision for Edzak as he goes through behind. Of course, very different strategies, maybe three very different strategies going on. We've got some hard runners, Maciek struggling to get by Evan Beloff at the moment, and Supermug down there who's on the AI car. We've got medium runners for the majority of the drivers, including Casper, who's been on them slightly longer, pitted just before the safety car. And then we've got Konis on softs. Jesper Fay's gone in the pits and put softs on, now in 10th. So might be trying a similar run to see if we get rain at the end. Jesper Fay 31 seconds back, on the hunt for a fastest lap, I'm assuming, at this point. Don't think anyone is in danger of making a move through this second sector. So just about a second separating Gonga, Ivan Beloff and Maciek here. Kaizachi getting by Sakel. Nice move from Kaizachi. Struggling for pace earlier on, but seems to be into a good rhythm now. So gaps opening up at the front. Konis, Bankst and Edzak, Casper, and then this group, Gonga, Ivan Beloff and Maciek in the Ferrari. Looks like Ivan Beloff will get a good run up Eau Rouge. 3-second penalty for Edzak. So that just hands big advantage to Konis even further, who can now drive somewhat calmly towards the end of the race. There was the beep for DRS. Gonga shaping the car. Brakes late. Slightly outbrakes himself. A little puff of tyre smoke. 3-second penalty for Casper's not going to help matters up there in P4. Gonga driving clean. The native to Empire drivers both driving a clean race so far, as well as Maciek and Jesper Fay. Should have points finishes for all our human drivers at the moment set up. How long can Konis live on these softs? And when will the rain come? And will those two things coincide, I wonder? Oh, Ivan almost backing the car into Fanya. Looks like Casper's turned round ahead. Casper rejoining the track. Ghosted, thankfully, down to 8th place now. Possibly will lose again as he gets the car back under control. So, Ivan Beloff, half a second behind Gonga, unable to get much of a slipstream. Might have another go on the way up the hill. If we go through again, 7 laps on Konis soft tyres. They'll be nearing the end of their life. 4.5 seconds the gap at the front there. So if that starts to come down drastically, we'll know. Another lockup from Gonga, so pushing hard under pressure from Edzak here. Edzak, our 3rd place drivers standing holder at the moment. Could well be our 2nd place championship holder coming out of this race. Derating from Gonga going on as they approach Lecombe, but it was just too far back for a move by Ivan Beloff yet again. So Gonga getting away nicely at the head of the field, ahead of Ivan. 5 seconds now, the gap at the top. So those tyres haven't gone off just yet. Either that or Konis is a very fast driver, which we know he is. We're still looking out for the rain that's expected to come at the end of the race. Konis on now 8-lap old soft tyres, still extending the gap at the front. Ivan Belov with DRS, 0.4 of a second the gap to the car ahead. We've started lap 17 with the leader. So 5 to go. How will any rain affect our drivers towards the end? If it comes too late, the drivers won't bother to use the inters. A good run now from Ivan Belov, who manages to get P4 safely into Les Camps, and P4 it is for AlphaTauri, as well as P3 currently just up the road. But penalties at the moment. Ivan Belov has got past Gonga, but he's going to have to put a significant gap on Gonga in order to save himself from those penalties. Currently Jesper Fay driving in 10th place, 13 seconds behind Casper. Casper in 9th with Sarkel in 8th, Kaizachi 7th, then the clean drivers Maciek and Gonga 6th and 5th, clean as far as penalties are concerned. Williams running very wide and dirtying our curbside camera of Gonga, but a nice gap being put on the Williams by Ivan Belov here. Might even just about get out of DRS range with the speed difference he's got. 6.3 seconds the gap at the front now. So the gap's still extending despite these well past their best tyres on Konis car. 9 laps on a soft tyre is a very difficult beast to handle through the difficult corners of Eau Rouge and Pouhon. Many drivers remark that it's harder to hold on to the car through Pouhon than it actually is through Eau Rouge quite often. So DRS still in play in this battle for 4th place. Banks gets another penalty. That's going to help Edzak with a potential 2nd place now. Keep an eye on the gap between Edzak and Ivan Belov and see if Ivan Belov can get himself to a double podium for AlphaTauri. So 10 human runners left. Reminder that Supermug is not taking part in the race physically, just his AI ghost after an unfortunate late call to miss the race. This Williams driver Gonga takes a very wide line through Stavlo. The gap at the front 6.3 seconds. The extension is slowing slightly, but it's not dropping drastically yet. And there we go. Our final driver is now out of DRS range. So let's ride on board Konis and see how the car is handling. Keep your eyes out for any rain to come. Very much driving within himself, it seems. No dramas. Just easing the car into the corners. Putting very little strain on the tyres. Happy to drive off track still. This line into Pouhon. Not strictly necessary, you think. I don't know if it's higher wear running on that Astro and over the curb. Quite happy to do it still. Difficult to unlearn habits when they're so ingrained after hours and hours on the time trial. So Konis leading our championship, 7 wins to his name so far in the championship in this season, and he'll be hoping to seal this championship today with a win if he can do it in style, but just waiting and begging for a safety car or some rain to come out, I think, to try and get these tyres home, keep them cool. And it's ever more difficult job to keep the tyres into the operating range as they wear closer and closer to the canvas. But the car's still feeling pretty good, I feel, under Konis. Still able to go flat through Eau Rouge. Very little drama. Coming up to lap the AI car after one safety car. Yeah, the boss says, when will the softs get a puncture? Well, at the moment they look to be running okay. My eyesight is not good enough to read the steering wheel. I don't know if anybody else can, but I can't quite see what the temperatures are like at the moment on board that McLaren. I wish I had the telemetry system so I could tell you how worn they are, how close to the canvas, and a failure. Still not seeing that rain that we were promised. I know maybe our forecast was incorrect. Maybe it was rain at the end of qualifying we were predicted instead. Never say never. There's plenty of clouds in the sky over the Spa circuit. So Banks still 6.5 seconds away from the rest of the field. See Maciek starting to catch Gonga now that the performance of the hard tyre is potentially quicker than the medium. Keep an eye on that gap for you, but I'm really interested to see how Konis is driving currently. I'm sure you all are on this glory run. Just 2 laps to go now. Will there be a lift this time? Not a bit of it, and he's happy still to run over all the curbs. You would feel if he was marginal he'd be staying completely off the curves, under braking, under these chicanes, but he's using every inch of the track still. Very, very confident. Little short shift on the way out, minimising any wheel spin on the rears, just protecting those. The car may be starting to look like it was being pushed a little too hard on the entry into Pouhon there, possibly. He's got a gap of 6.8 seconds now, plus 3 from, or is it 6 from Banks? I think it might be 6 seconds from Banks. Yeah, it is. So he's got effectively a 12-second gap. He can afford to stay off the curbs. He can afford to lift and coast if his tyres get critical. They're all marked up on the fronts here. They look quite well used. They're a dull grey with different lines across them, across the tyres. But Konis holding on. He starts his final lap now on the soft tyres. There won't be a pit stop, so it's just about getting the car to the end. Maciek is half a second back from Gonga, so may well be able to have a look for a 5th place here. Two clean drivers in the midfield, running currently line astern. Gonga with a great performance. Really strong tonight, Gonga. P5, might be P6, might even be P5 again after Ivan Pelov's penalty is awarded. But Maciek, half a second back. Will it be a last lap lunge into Les Comps? He's not quite close enough, so he's going to have to do it into the bus stop if he's going to get by anywhere, unless he can pressurise Gonga into a mistake, or that AI Ghost gets in the way. But we'll go over and see Konis wrapping up the race and the Drivers' Championship. With 4 races to go, you feel it's quite likely here. Konis, here comes the rain. Finally, we get the rain on the final lap. Konis going to have to treat this very, very carefully. Watch for him braking super early into the bus stop because he'll be hyper alert, hyper vigilant of how the car's handling as he gets the car towards. You can see the rain starting to collect on the camera. Brake early, brake early. It's well under his control. Konis then wins the race in Belgium and takes our Drivers' Championship of Season 6. Konis, your new F3 champion. Fantastic stuff. Banks crosses the line behind him to take 2nd place on the road. I think Edzak, he just gapped Edzak enough to mean Edzak gets 3rd place. Gonga jumps up to 4th at the end, with Maciek 5th after those penalties for the AlphaTauris. Ivan Belov gets 6th place. Kaizachi will be 7th. Saikel 8th place. Kasper crosses the line for a 9th place, I think, finish. And Jesper Fay miles behind the rest of the drivers. Put Inters on early on, but it wasn't early enough. Put Wets on early on. It wasn't. The rain didn't come early enough. He was gambling, and he could afford to, but it didn't happen. So 10 drivers take the finish of our race, and we'll watch him just close this one out. Fastest lap goes to Konis, so almost a perfect result. Didn't get pole, but did it when it mattered, and that is your championship done and dusted for the Drivers' Champion. But of course, plenty to play for between Edzak, Pangrio and all of the top 7, I believe, in with a shout of changing their positions in the final 4 races. And of course, the big battle between Mclaren and Ferrari still to come as to who can get the championship. Konis has virtually done McLaren's job on his own. Pachuca hasn't contributed nearly as much as the 2 Ferrari drivers have for Ferrari. Gonga gets the W, gets the driver of the day there, using the W gesture. I think that Jensen Button used to use a lot. There is our champion then. Konis wins the race, his 8th of the season. So winning more than half of our races so far. We'll go into our final run to the end of the championship. 4 races to go in Ero F3, and hopefully we'll have more drivers for you next week. Please make sure, if you're leaving us, that you like the video on your way out and you've subscribed and you've followed us on Twitter. The details are at the top of the live chat. Konis there with the championship. Congratulaciones and felicidades to Konis, P1, with Banks in P2, Edzak P3. So good performances from Banks particularly, and from Maciek. Strong result for Ferrari tonight. Edzak gets 3rd. Gonga with a climb from 13th to 4th. Driver of the day gets the 4th place. Then Maciek, Ivan Belov, Kaizachi, Saikel, Kasper and Jesper Fay finished the race, and not taking the start was Super Mug, and finishing early Souza and Pangrio. Unfortunately, hopefully Pangrio can come out for some wins. Now the pressure's off for the championship win. He can come out strongly for the end, and hopefully Konis, if he has any assists left on the car, there's nothing to stop him turning them all off and showing us how good he can be without them as well. A reminder, I've been Webbo. You can follow me on Twitter at WebboRed5. Thank you so much, and make sure you tune in to the other ERI races this weekend, including a battle for the championship in F1 tomorrow. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for your engagement. Thanks for all the views and shares, and thanks to everyone involved in running our little championship here. We'll see you again next week, same time, same place, and I will catch you on the next race day.